When we think of love, a lot of times it's very much misunderstood as far as what we are identifying and expressing as love. And a lot of times, especially this time of year, we think about it more in romantic terms. But love is far more extensive than just the romantic love. It's equally important, but it's not the only thing that's in there. When we think of non-romantic love, one of the things that I've noticed is that it is often very conditional. We decide who we're going to love based on a certain set of conditions. There's always a lot of different expectations that are put on the people who we are claiming to express that love to. And there's definitely a love language. There is a way that each of us individually express our love for each other, for humanity, and for family. And a lot of times people don't quite understand what our love language is, nor do we understand when people don't understand our own. And so love can be extremely, extremely complicated. My mother, as I was growing up, she always defined love more in the form of an acronym. And she said that love basically meant levels of varying emotions. And that's kind of profound because when you think about the different types of love that we can have, love for family, love for our animals, love for coworkers, they are very different. And so to think about it in that context, it really opens up the conversation of what love is. Now, to me, a very important aspect of love is family. And we have many different types of families. We have those families that we're either born into or that come in as a part of marriage. People come into our lives because of marriage, or we get added to people's lives because of marriage. And then there is the family of choice. Now, family of choice can also be the family you're born into, but the family of choice incorporates so much more. It brings in that community. It brings in those work relationships. And quite frankly, it brings in the entire humanity because we are a human family. We have a choice of whether we will recognize that we are a part of that family and if they are in ours, but it is a human family. Now, one of the best ways that I know to express my truth and my understanding is to share parts of my journey. And many of you have heard me do this before. So this morning will be absolutely no different. As an adopted child, I have a little different perspective on what family is. Now, there are two perspectives that I could have with this. One was that I was an unwanted accident. The other side of that perspective was that I was an answered prayer. And that is the side that I choose to remember because I truly was an unanswered prayer. My mother wanted children very, very badly, and she went through a lot of work and effort to have children. And I didn't always agree with her. I didn't always agree with the way that she raised me. I didn't always agree with her opinions. I certainly did not always appreciate her butting into my life. And yet, as I look back and I realize what a gift she was to my life, everything that I am is because of her. Whether it was because of things that I didn't want to be like her or things that she instilled in me. She gave me everything she possibly could, regardless of whether anybody agreed with it, regardless of whether I appreciated it. At every moment of her life, I can honestly say she did the absolute best she knew how to do at that time. That, I believe, is a really beautiful, beautiful representation on what unconditional love really is. Did she make mistakes? Absolutely. And yet, even in those mistakes, she gave me something that no one else could have. And she gave me life. She may not have given birth to me, but she absolutely gave me life. And for that, I will be eternally, eternally grateful. In speaking about family of choice, many of you have heard me talk about my brother George. Now, George is my brother neither by birth nor by marriage. He is a person who came into my life at one of the most perfect times, and we had a connection that neither one of us understood or recognized. And our relationship goes far beyond just simple friendship. It is truly a brotherhood, and I think of him that way. And what's wonderful about it is we are polar opposites. I mean, there's nothing about us that we have in common. Still to this day, we live thousands of miles away from each other. We can go weeks and months without talking. We can even go a couple years without seeing each other. And the minute we get together, it's like I was just with him 15 minutes ago. Nothing has changed. In that love that we have for each other, it's not based on anything. There is, like I said, there's no expectations. There's no conditions that are put on it. And we do not agree. And this is what is so great with families. We don't agree on everything. There are some things that we very strongly disagree. And anybody who heard us on the phone talking about things would think we didn't like each other. And yet we love and respect each other completely unconditional, even though he's wrong. So family also can be community. When we think of community, we have many different types of communities that we work with, one of which is a spiritual community, which is what we have here at Common Ground. I have been amazed over the years at how strong of a family community we have here at Common Ground. I have personally experienced so much acceptance and so much love from you that it has helped me to grow as a person. It's allowed me to be more loving when I step outside those doors, because it's all fine and dandy to be loving and accepting and all of that in here, but the minute we walk out, we have to keep that feeling with us. And that is what I have learned here. We come together in need. We come together to spiritually lift people up, to emotionally lift people up. We're there in the good times and the bad times. That's what family is. You don't have to be married or born into it. It is completely unconditional. And as I said, it has helped me to grow as a person. It's helped me to be a stronger individual. Then we have work. We have our work families. And anybody who has worked in an office knows that you do form work families. For years, I had a work wife, and it was a strong enough relationship that she made me lunch every day and brought it. So it was beyond just a friendship. And with these people that we work with, and for a long period of time, we do start to become very connected to their lives, and we start to care about their hopes, their dreams, their issues. When things start happening to them, we're there to support them. We're providing that love. Now, it is true that we also work with people that we have a little more difficulty showing that love and expressing it. But it doesn't mean that we don't have it. It just means that we haven't figured out how to express it. Again, we do not always have to agree with those that we love, but we can treat them with compassion. We can treat them with understanding. And really, bottom line is treat them the way that we want to be treated and the way that we would treat somebody else. So love itself, as I said earlier, love itself cannot be perfect unless it has those upon whom it can be lavished and by whom it can be returned. And this is really important because I am by nature an introvert. I'm not necessarily the kind of person that goes out to parties and I'm not the life of the party or any of those things. And it's not enough to sit at home and say, I love this group of people, or I love humanity and all of that. In order to truly understand love, we have to go outside of ourselves and express it. We have to be willing to embrace differences. We have to challenge what we think we believe in order to be able to share and understand that strong, loving connection. Because love, when you're expressing love, you can't help but be happy. You can't help but have that smile come across your face. And instead of constantly worrying about what isn't, if you can truly live in that space of love and express it, and when I say express it, I don't mean you need to walk around and tell everybody you love them. I think if you tried to do that at Walmart, you might get in trouble. But you can show it. You can show it by a smile. You can show it by being friendly. When you're at the grocery store, just a simple, how are you? A simple, have a great day, or make it a great day. These little things are part of a love language that speaks deeper into that connection that we have with humanity. Now, I didn't come from a large family. I came from a very, very small family. Growing up, I really liked that concept. I liked the idea that I didn't have to share my time with a whole bunch of people. When I got older, I started recognizing and seeing people that had much larger families, and I'll admit I became a little bit envious because there's a part of me that sort of felt a little alone until I realized that I had a huge family. Just didn't recognize it. All of my friends, all the people that cared about me, the entire globe, we are all that big family. So growing up, I never felt that the family I had was the family that I wanted. But what I have realized is the family that I always had was the absolute family that I did need. So one thing that I'd like to leave you with is to remember to express love not just in words. Love is not limited to words. It incorporates action. And to absolutely be open to new forms of expression. Remember that humanity, the entire world, is your family if you choose. And if you open your heart to that global love, go ahead and agree to disagree, but do it from a point of love, of compassion. Now, regardless of what type of love we're talking about, I can guarantee you that it can absolutely be messy. It can be extremely complicated, and God knows it can be confusing. But what love does bring us is peace, harmony. It brings a sense of happiness. So I invite you to be grateful for your family, for your friends, for your partners, and most especially, be loving and grateful for the world around you. The divine in me recognizes the divine in you. Thank you.